record this for posterity. I'm going to show my screen. And we're just going to go back to base fundamentals, what we're all trying to do. So like I said, if you got a question, I want to actually, anybody's going to, I'm going to open this up to the floor after, and I'm going to let one person go at a time. So I'm going to unmute one person at a time. You need to talk. If you have something to say, type the question in, and then we'll talk. So this is where we're trying to go, guys. We're after doing the data from the funnel and looking at, we've got a few hundred gyms I've looked at over the last 2 years, and we've got a ton of data from the Zen Planner. We know that we've got one thing that is law. If it's not, it's a hell of a great theory with a ton of data, and the more data we get, the more it goes law. And this is this one seal. The first seal is we need to get a robust fundamentals program in place. And that's the first thing that all you guys in Alpha have done. And all the guys in Alpha are pretty far along in this 2-seal process. I think there's a few of us that you could almost, I know we're for sure a 2-seal facility. I'm working on my 3-seal. Our worldwide accreditation here is real close. And we've now got a senior educational administrator. This whole thing that we can look at down the road. But now what we're trying to do with this beta group is we're trying to get you into this 1-seal deal. And I think what we're going to hear from most of you, and what I've talked to a lot of you offline, is that this fundamentals program is going to add some hours to the owner or manager of the facility, right? It adds some hours to this whole thing. Eventually, once you get towards the 2-seal, it takes the hours off. But for now, we've got to build this thing up. Each owner has to build up this fundamentals program. And that looks like it's coming along pretty good. So the idea is to get to a place where you're training. The vast majority of people getting trained one-on-one or one-on-two. For new facilities that are opening up, maybe it's a little bit of a higher number at start to get your numbers up, and I can understand that. But as you get, the law of supply and demand curve changes, you're going to get more and more towards this. The gyms that are already mature, we should be all doing one-on-ones or one-on-twos, right? So I want to hear from each one of you after, but where you're at. We are right now building the online school to help train you and help train your staff on how to develop this 1-seal. And there's 7 modules for the 1-seal. And then we've got another 3 modules to get the 2-seal. And then we've got a few modules on the tools. So I'll go back and reiterate this. You want to be graduating people. Summer is between 12 and 20 PT sessions. It should be around there for the average person. At CrossFit Vancouver, our average is now at around 17, and our rate is $835 for 10 sessions. Now, I don't think it's set in stone that you have to charge for 10 sessions up front. There's pros and cons to charging 5 up front, 8 up front, 10 up front, 12 up front. There's pros and cons to each. The higher barrier to entry that you have, the more commitment you're going to get. But you're also probably going to push away a certain amount of people who are on the borderline of affording it, right? And that's going to go with your ability to sell it. It's going to go with how affluent your clients are. We've used 10, and we're going to stick with 10 for now. But I'm not saying that has to be the standard, right? And we're kind of looking at you want to get up to personal training rate of $65. If you're down at, nobody should be below 50 for a one-on-one. But if you are, that's fine. That's the law of supply and demand. After a while, you just get tired of working for $40, and it'll go to 50 and 60. It was really interesting at the games. We met a lot of guys in all stages of their development, and a lot of guys in the first 2 years in some of the markets where it wasn't really a really good standard set in the first at the start in that certain market. And I talked with one guy recently who wants to join the group, and he's like, they're doing the worst of the worst moose cock, which is it's probably worse than putting people in group classes. They've been doing for 6 months. They basically gave up their whole fundamentals program over to Groupon. So they're doing 8 sessions for $20 now, and it's an average of an 8-on-1. So now you think about it, and we all should know better than this. Anybody here in this meeting should definitely know better than this. But I talked to him and I said, listen, you're basically sitting in front of a guy and you're getting $2 from him, right? And I said, how many new people a month are you getting? He says, well, 30. And I go, okay, 30 times 20, that's $600. How about if we just took 1/6 of those guys and we took 5 people and you charged even $40 an hour and you trained them all one-on-one, right? Now, if you couldn't sell that at $40 an hour and you were going to be doing 10 sessions and all this kind of stuff, chances are you're not much of a personal trainer, right? And then I said, if you looked at the numbers on that, if we took, 5 guys, I'm going to do a quick bit of math here just to confirm this. 5 guys in a month times 3 times a week times 4.3 weeks in a month times $40 an hour, right? $40 is fucking low, but that's like $2,600 versus your $600. And I bet you all of them are going to stay or close to it. And your referral numbers are going to go through the roof. Does that make any sense? He goes, okay, I can start to see it. So for, the CrossFit brand to survive, for us to keep the CrossFit branding, for do all this kind of thing, we need all of our communities coming up. But if you and your community are recognized as the cream of the crop, you're soon going to develop a reputation in your communities for being the high-end guy. And from there, we know that these are numbers that are achievable. I'm going to go back to our alpha team, right? Most of them are, experienced. They've been around 4, 5, 6 years. Some of them, they're experiencing some pretty flat revenue numbers. They implemented the changes, within 2 years. A lot of them are within 16 months. Some of them are within a year. They're up 108% in revenue, 248% in profit. Owner hours on the floor are down. Coach pay is up. These are the 4 numbers I want you guys continuously working on. And our job as a group is to be getting you the tools to do that, right? Makes sense to everybody? I'm going to open the floor up to who wants to tell me first. Put it in the chat box about the success you're having around this one seal, how you've changed your fundamentals program, what your fundamentals program looks like from how many sessions, what is the coach to student ratio, and how much you're charging, the effect that's had on those 4 big numbers, revenue, profit, and more importantly, even your culture, what it's like to teach a group class now that those changes have come about. Who wants to take the first shot? Just type your name into the chat box. Track. All right, buddy. Let's hope things are getting better over there. I'm going to unmute Track. All right, Track, you're on, bud.
Good morning, folks. Can you all hear me?
Yep.
All right. So before we did the MadLab System, we were on a group fundamentals program. So we take a big class through maybe 12, 15 people, and it was just a almost regular kind of a tuition rate, like a $175 for 3 times a week. And then what we found with that was that even though we took a big group through, we'd only retain so many of them to move on to our group classes. And so about last November, we started kind of switching over, and now all of our PTs or all of our fundamental students are either through 1-on-1 or 2-on-1s, or the biggest groups we have are 3-on-1s. And it's just been a lot, culture-wise, easier to move these people into our group classes. They're not so much, I think the term we used back then was a doorknob. You can fix a lot of the kind of quirks a person has, not just their technique, but just their kind of their barbell etiquette, any kind of weird mobility things. And so we found that it was really easier to kind of make that transition for people into our group classes, and the retention rate was a lot higher now. And that just gave our coaches a lot more personal connection with them, and then they have a little more opportunity to build up themselves and kind of keep moving on from there. Total growth-wise, we took a little dip after we made that switch just because we were trying to figure out how to do it, but we're pretty steady now, continue to grow.
Cool. So how many personal training sessions or 1-on-2s are you doing on average before you graduate them?
Session-wise, we do at least 10 minimum, and we're right there around 10 to 12 before we move a person into a group class.
How much you charging for that?
We're going 750 for 10 sessions.
Good. That's awesome, man. And how's the resistance been of people that come in and first of all, do you have it on your website exactly why you do what you do, and describing of why you're doing the personal training sessions and why you're different? Have a really clear story on your website yet?
Yeah, we do have that on, and we also listed our prices on the line. So that really helped with that first initial talk. Like, so for most people that already contact us, they already have that in their head that,
right, that
this is kind of what we're looking for, a commitment on.
So what we found is we've got lots of people that come into our facility and they're coming in off the website. They don't necessarily know us. I mean, I know we have a reputation. There's no doubt about that. But they're coming in and they're saying, listen, we looked at all the websites and we like what you were saying. We really wanted this kind of training. And there's not much resistance at the door. We do our first day, you wow them, and then they pay. Have you seen any resistance when they come in the door and you're talking to them to paying that extra premium for the personal training?
Yeah, I'd say there's still some resistance, but it was a lot less than what we had before. We didn't really list our prices, and when it came in, it was a little bit of a shocker. We kind of used that pre-qualification program that kind of talked about in your sales program.
Right.
Kind of go over that before they ever come in for their first day intro.
So something I've been working on, guys, to kind of fill you all in, the reason why I'm kind of going down this path is we've been working with a couple different internet companies or website companies, whatever. And one of them in particular is very good at SEO, and they've been working with a lot of CrossFit boxes around the world. And we're working on a standard sort of a website or a template for anybody in our group to use. And we're working on pricing and all this kind of stuff. Basically what it would be a free website where you add your specific content, your flavor, your branding onto it, but it's going to tell a very detailed story of why we're doing what we're doing. And you can change the price slightly, or you can change you can modify, each one can modify it slightly for what you're comfortable in selling. But I think that's going to be a really important part. If you guys aren't now putting on your website really clear why you're doing what you're doing, that starts the sales process when people are doing the browsing around to see what gym they want to go to. Right. Anything else you want to add to the whole thing, Trey?
It was pretty tough making that switch over, but I really liked where it's going, and I feel like this is the only way to go moving forward.
If you had to say what is the hardest thing that's been, where you need the most help from our group, what would that be?
For myself, is training my coaches on their first day intro. That's
right.
What I found the hardest part so far.
Right. Really teaching them how to become salespeople. And that intro is the first part that they need to become salespeople. And I mean, I'm sure all of you guys have been doing a lot of these intros and getting way better at it yourselves, and your close rates are going up. And as your close rate's going up and you understand it, and training your people. So the online school is going to have a whole module around sales. And it's going to have a separate module around first day. So we're going to have our PowerPoint, voiceover, and a bunch of different videos. And I mean, as we grow this thing, there'll be more and more and more data, more and more videos around what's working, what's not working, and a lot of support where you can say your guys, here, sit down, look at this module, right? And then there's going to be a sales module on, I mean, the sales, whether you're selling a car or a house or personal training or whatever, there's a certain steps that have to go on in any sales process. And just educating yourselves and your people on what those steps are, you'd be amazed at how simple it actually is. Okay, anybody else want to chime in on what their experience has been, whether it's similar, different, whatever? I want to hear from 2 or 3 of you here this morning. Alex, you want to talk about your process? I saw you write up all that stuff. Sending us your war stories and sending us your good, bad, ugly is crucial to us understanding this. Using that forum is really crucial. All right, Alex. Alex sent us some stuff the other day that was really cool. Tell us about it, Alex. You're on.
All right. So I guess it was March when I went out there to Vancouver, and we switched over pretty much the day I got back. And exactly like you were saying, Patty, my time spent in the gym just, I feel like, quintupled. It was ridiculous. I was here all the time doing all the personal training sessions, getting people set, trying to switch over to the model. We switched over the following month completely, so everyone's on the compensation-based model now. I have one trainer that was with me right from the beginning, so I brought her in at at the senior level. Everyone else is new at the beginning. And so we've had our best month ever so far, and just in terms of new members joining. And the first month is exactly like you were saying, where we had only 5 new members. But then when I looked at how much actual revenue that brought in, I figured, because a lot of people said no after the intro and our website wasn't updated. But with 5 new members, we made the same revenue as I would have made with 18 or something like that, regular members. So
right.
Where would I rather be putting my energy? I'd much rather, spend time with this 5. And these are the people. I just had my birthday last week, and they're buying me, bottles of cognac and stuff, and taking me out and giving me gift cards. Where members before, they wouldn't even remember your birthday. So it's a whole different experience. It feels like it's a new business.
That's the big thing that I never mention. And it's hard that quantitative stuff. Haven't put that out in our materials much, but that quality of life, how much enjoyment you get from training versus training 30 people in a moose cock versus 3 personal training. A lot of the time the finances are the same, but the burnout is 1/10. And then the amount of reward you get from the people you're training is a whole other thing we haven't really even quantified yet. All right, keep on going.
And the trainers are saying it's a nice change to have a one-on-one session, have a break, have another one-on-one session, have a class, as opposed to they're used to class or whatever. It makes it much better working environment for them as well.
Right. So tell us about what is your fundamentals program?
So we do 10 sessions minimum. Most people are in the 10 to 12 range, and we do 65 a session. So they start with 650 as an investment to start.
And you're doing mostly one-on-one or some one-on-2?
Pretty much everything so far has been one-on-one. We've had only two-on-ones, and they were both couples. So they wanted to join together, so they did 2-on-1.
What are you charging for the 2-on-1?
It ends up being $900 for a pair, $450 each.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a great place to start. That's really encouraging. One of the things we found whenever we had a price objection, we'd be like, go get a friend. Instead of it being back when we were $750, it'll be like $1,000. It'll be $500 instead of $750. And then you can even start cutting deals a little bit. Say it's $450, and then it's you've just doubled your amount of people in your fundamentals program. You've just raised your rates. And I think 1-on-2 can work, but it can be a nightmare if the people don't have the same schedule and you don't make them completely commit to that. And one of the things, I think I mentioned this before, but it's got to be like, whoever doesn't show is going to pay, right? You're just going to pay for the session completely, and you're paying for both people, not just your own session. You've now fucked over your buddy, and the buddy basically comes in and gets a free session. So, you know what I mean? You're making sure you show up then, right? Anything else you can add to the whole thing and how it's been going?
It's been great. I think just like track, I don't think there's any other way of doing this thing. I was totally in when I filled out that survey in March, was the different levels. Like life is awesome, where you're like drowning with just your head above the water. That's pretty much where I was at. And now there's, it's not light at the end of the tunnel. It's light at the beginning of the tunnel. And I think the best part is that the trainers see it too. So just the environment around here has changed a lot. We're able to reinvest in, new equipment and take staff out to lunch and stuff like that. Whereas before it was just kind of, survive.
That warms my heart, man. That's the stuff that really makes me feel good about what we're doing. Can you tell me a bit about your switchover program? And I know Dave Picardi's on and Dan McDougall are on, and they're sort of our mini experts around how that goes down. And I'm sure there's a lot of guys that have questions about that. We're still trying to figure out best practices around that. So tell me about it.
So what we did is pretty much as soon as I got back, the next, actually, funny story about it, the next intro I did it the way that I learned with you guys. I came back on Monday. I think I did intro on Tuesday and closed the guy, and I was almost shocked. Like, he paid me on the spot, and my face was totally just like, you're giving me $650. Like, I fucked it up totally. He's like, no, this is awesome. I was like, okay, obviously it works. So anyway, so for the first 3 or 4 weeks, I did them all myself, and I was going nuts, crazy busy with it. And then started training other people in it. Had a meeting with all my part-time staff, and we had some issues with there that were kind of long-standing. And I just said, listen, this is starting next week. We're switching over to this. Who's interested? And I outlined the whole, you got to do the 3 intros and 3 full cycles and all that kind of stuff to shadow. And then you're gonna, this is your level you're gonna start at. And pretty much all the people that we had problems with were very quick to be like, it sounds like a lot of work. I don't think I'm interested in that. So it was like a really easy way to, just move on fresh. And we got a couple of new people that have been members for a long time who are kind of interested. So they started, and then that's how we switched. So now we have I guess including myself, there's 3 people here who are here all the time, and then a bunch of other people who are coming up through the apprentice process with a little bit of shadowing left to do before they start getting their own clients.
So you basically are, you're not giving them a float. Like how are your regular classes being maintained right now? How are guys teaching the regular classes? How are they getting paid?
Oh, so the one that was switched over, myself and the full-time one, we just assigned, like, handed out members, kind of like what you guys were talking about.
Oh, you did it that way. Okay.
Yeah, and that's what we did. That was the easiest way to do it to start.
So you split up all the coaches, all the clients between you and another guy.
Yeah.
That's kind of the Atlanta method. That's kind of what we did at CFV when I had to sort of move out of the personal training. I did it with 2 of my apprentices. We've had mixed results with that. So your guy is doing a good job of bringing in new members. He knows how to go out and sell new people and do all this kind of stuff. Doing okay with it?
Yeah, because it's been around since the beginning. So the whole 5 years. So it was my right-hand person. So
you already trust him. There's not a question.
Yeah, it wasn't like one of the part-time people.
Right. There's a question around if we just hand clients to people who don't know how to sell the personal training, who aren't fully bought into the system, who aren't, they're not totally in. If you give them clients too early, they just kind of show up and teach their classes and leave again and collect for the people they've got. I'm going to bring.
I think that would be a big risk if you don't have a right hand already.
Right. So that moves us into sort of from the 1 seal into the 2 seal conversation. And the more we talk to each other, the more I see guys coming on board, the more I talk to new people and the mistakes they're making, it's just becoming very clear what works and what doesn't work. And when we started this process 2 years, it wasn't clear. I didn't know what we were doing was necessarily going to be the best way of doing things. And there's lots of stuff. Once we get our community up to 2 seal, then we can start looking at some really funky things inside of what we got and delivering more and more best practices. So before I get more into the 2 seal thing, and Alex, I think it's pretty clear to everyone that's working for you and the reason why it's working. Is there anybody else who wants to talk about their experience? I'm Hyper Sniper. I know you want to talk about nearby gyms charging lower and how to explain the difference in training and that. I'm going to bring you on after the next person. I want to know if there's anybody else there that's got a little bit different experience with how they've been doing this whole 1 seal process. If there's any problems with it, or even just, I love hearing about the success too. Does anybody else want to talk? Or is everybody pretty much in the same boat as what the first 2 people that talked here? Okay, so everybody's good. The 1 seals are coming around. I can see there's, we're missing 6 or 7 people off of this call, but I pretty much talked to everybody on that list, and it looks like everybody's going well with this. I might have one person that's not quite clicking with, but I don't know if we're going to get everybody 100%. But so far, I think we've got an equation here that works, and it's working around the world. So that's great. I'm going to put on the Hyper Sniper. So, Alex, okay, let me ask one more question. What would you need for help from the group, and what has been the most difficult part of the 1 seal?
Most difficult part of the 1 seal was really, quite frankly, just the hours of getting everything going on myself, like running the business and running the personal training, and then having people shadow me and being there for all their shadow sessions and all that kind of stuff. That was just, I feel like I didn't sleep for 2 months, but there's like this last, I think in my email to you, I was gone for like 5 full days, and I came back and we have like security cameras. I was looking, there's like 3 personal training sessions happening, and there's open gym happening. I was like, this is fantastic. I'm not anywhere near the gym, and it's going on its own.
It's making money for you while you're away.
Yeah, that's the way it's supposed to be. And then I think the biggest help from the group is just moving into the 2 seal thing, the eventually splitting morning and evening people and how to find qualified. I think some of the people that are apprentices are going to be good, but there's still only the 3 of us that are here full time right now. They're the only ones that are, you can tell people when they're going to be awesome and when they're good, finding or identifying more like awesome people to take it to the next level.
Yeah, it's interesting. You never know what client's going to make it, but it's way more clear which coach is probably going to make it. I had the opinion that, because when I was training people, I didn't know who the hell would make it or not. It was really difficult to tell who had the psychological makeup to actually do the training properly, right? But with the coaching, I used to give everybody too much opportunity, and the people that gave too much opportunity actually came back to hurt me. Right? They didn't help. It becomes quite fucking clear quite quick who's going to be able to make it or not. You don't want to give up on anybody, but okay. Awesome, Alex. I'm proud of you, dude. You were the most honest survey we've ever had still to date. The numbers absolutely line up every way I can measure the numbers. And I don't really tell people how I do all the metrics, but pretty much everybody either doesn't understand their numbers quite properly, or they fudge a few, or they give me the best month or whatever. Especially Mike Manning. He's always fucking with you. All right, Alex, I'm going to mute you. I'm going to put the Hyper Sniper on, and then I think Dan's got a response. All right, Manning, you're on, dude.
Okay, man. How's it going, guys?
Going good.
No, the question I typed in the box was basically about, other gyms opening up nearby, and we've been going through that for 2 years. I've been doing this intro session, the free intro session where we do the exact thing that you do in Vancouver, because you taught me that a while back. I've been doing that for a while. It works. Pretty much everybody signs up. About 8 people a month do that, and then they go into 10 personal training sessions. I charge $500 for that. A lot of times we do make them do a few more, especially now with the benchmarks. But we've had a bunch of other gyms open up, and most of them are my former clients or coaches, and they're charging a lot less. And as they pick up steam, it becomes obvious to everybody else when they look for a gym in this area that we're the most expensive gym, and it's a minimum of $500 to even before you get into group classes. So I'm wondering if anybody else has dealt with that, or what's a good way around that. Obviously, the intro session where we're selling, explaining why we're better, but the average person, when they choose which gym to go to, a lot of times do it on price. So anybody have anything on that?
Let me ask you a couple of qualifying questions around that first. First, do you have it on your website really clearly why you're doing what you're doing and why it works?
Yeah, I copied your pretty much right off CrossFit Vancouver a while back. I've had that for over 2 years now. Check
out the new one, because we've changed it quite a bit.
I was on there about a couple weeks ago. So.
All right. That's also going to be a process that I'm looking to change it even further, to explain that even more in depth, the more data we get. And then you can tell an even stronger story of being a part of this group, that we see a fundamental equation around people not lasting. So it's retention, around your culture and your gym, around injury. So we're going to add to that whole story. Second thing is, how far along are you in your second seal for transitioning your facility?
Well, I fully implemented the fundamentals, minimum of 10, average about 12 right now at $500 or $50 a session I get for that. I have one coach who I've trained, but I haven't given him anybody yet. Most of my coaches are, they have full-time jobs elsewhere, and they just pick up a couple classes. So obviously my wife can do it. Her and I are the only ones that can do it. And I'm training one more to be able to do that. But they're not very successful in bringing their own clients in, nor have they been. I think they will be once I train them on this.
Okay. I know that's a separate conversation, so we can dig into that later. I'm going to bring McDougall into this, because he's got a lot of gyms around, and they've been doing the PT or the one seal for a long time. So, Dan, you're unmuted.
Okay, Mike, I've got probably 5 or 6 gyms within 2 or 3 miles, and I've got one less than a mile away, and they're all cheaper. One does group fundamentals class for 3 classes for $99, and a lot of people do choose the cheaper version, but we get enough to keep us happy. And I've devoted a lot of time and thought to what I've got on my website about why they should choose us. So you might want to, I need to clean this up. I hadn't edited it in a while, but go to CrossFitAtlanta.com and read the page on getting started, and also the page on choosing a CrossFit gym. But I think there are 2 points. Number one is that coaching expertise makes a difference, both in the outcome and in safety. and you can talk about how CrossFit, I don't know what headquarters will think, but CrossFit has definitely acquired a reputation for hurting people. I'm getting solicitations from orthopedic doctors who want to advertise in my gym or make some arrangement for me referring people to them. And I sat on the plane back from Montana next to an orthopedic surgeon, said he was getting a lot of CrossFit people into his practice, shoulder injuries and knee injuries. So if this stuff isn't taught correctly, you can hurt people. And I say straight out on one of the pages, if you're shopping for price, stop reading, go somewhere else. This is not the place. It says be very upfront with the fact that you're focused on the highest possible quality. You have the best, most experience and the best qualifications to do it right, and you're going to charge for it. I mean, that's the way I'm doing it, and I'm getting a lot of internal referrals, and I every week get somebody who has looked at our website and decides I'm coming here because they're the best.
Yeah, being very, very clear and being unapologetic, almost to the point of slightly aggressive with your message is key. And I think my message on our website, which I constructed quite a while ago, Mike, I actually don't think our new one's up. I've had Emily working on one for quite a while, but she had the games and stuff. So I'm actually meeting with her this afternoon. I'm redoing my entire website from start to finish, and I'm rebranding everything MadLab School of Fitness. I'm taking basically the CrossFit stuff out of it. I hope to remain an affiliate. I'd like to keep CrossFit Vancouver. That's a thing between us and HQ right now, that they want CrossFit.ca back and stuff. And I can even understand why they do. But my branding, our branding of our place is not going to involve CrossFit. We want to be a CrossFit affiliate. We want to put the CrossFit love out there. But our branding is not going to revolve around CrossFit anymore. And as further I get into that, the more data I'll have around that. With all these gyms opening up and so many close, you really want to separate yourself in your message. Now, I wasn't going to bring this up today because I'm not sure exactly what our whole thing is going to look like, but I know I've been told this by a lot of people for a lot of years that I shouldn't use CrossFit branding. And if I had never used it, the branding itself, so what is the name of your gym and what is the name of your website and all this kind of stuff. You look at some of the most successful ones around the world, and I look at even the successful ones in our local community. They're like Studio 55, or they have a whole different thing going on other than just CrossFit. And we're going to be limited into a small little package if it keeps on going down this lowest common denominator, and you are going to have a different story than everybody else. So you might want to have different branding as well. But Dan and I are kind of figuring that out, how that whole piece is going to work. But if you think about it, I just want you guys thinking about that. So Mike's talking about his message, right? And you're competing against other CrossFit gyms. Well, what we're doing and what the average guy is doing with the Groupon is it's almost like two different fucking leagues or two different sports. You don't want to pigeonhole yourself into that necessarily just the CrossFit thing if it's going to go down a path of the games and Reebok and whatever. I love CrossFit. I'll always love it. But if you're going to be a school of fitness, it's a different story. It's a different message. Dan, what would you have to add to all that?
One of the things that Glassman said, and I can't remember whether it was private or in the speech, but he wants to slow down the growth of CrossFit, which is good. So I think he's getting the message about the quality.
I don't know how he could slow it down, but
I don't either, except let the affiliate support team drag really slow or raise the price. Hell, I don't know what he has in mind for implementing that.
All right. So I think Mike, I don't know have a very clear answer for you other than being unapologetic for why you're different. And I'm actually, to be honest with you, I'm taking the CrossFit signs off of our door. I'm taking them off the front and the back of the building. Like I said, I'd like to have MadLab School of Fitness, CrossFit affiliate, or Inspired by CrossFit Vancouver, and keep that connection, because I would like to keep that connection. And I think there's something relevant about it, but really defining who we are in the marketplace is going to be utmost importance in the next 2 years, right? I mean, if we stick to, it's CrossFit and the same as everybody else, and you can hear our story right now. We're trying to differentiate ourselves in our markets by what we say on our website. Well, what's more powerful than that even is what is your name, right? You guys feel me a little bit? Something to think about. I'm not saying you should. I'm saying you should always keep a CrossFit affiliation. I'm just saying how you brand yourself is you want to be fucking smart about it, right? Picardi, I'm gonna bring you into this thing. Hopefully, you got a good connection. Dave, you want to say a few words with that? There you go.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out my webcam here. Hold on a second, I'll jump on. There we go. Yeah, we're trying to figure that out too. We knew that years ago. I used to talk with Doug Chapman a lot about it, who's Hyperfit USA, about not being, don't jump in with everybody else with the same name and differentiate yourself. So we wanted to come up with a cool name. We never did. And so I was like, fuck it, with North Shore CrossFit. And I know down the road we'll want to change it. But we're running into the same problem Mike's having down in Florida, is we have a ton of gyms in our area. We get 2 people currently in our gym that are opening up their own gyms again. But we knew it well ahead of time. We actually let them in to learn a little bit from us. But we have 1, 2, 3. I bet you we're up to like 10 gyms within 5 miles. And we definitely saw a huge slowdown in how many people come into the facility, and we're addressing that right now. But how do you brand yourself differently in the market with 10 gyms if everybody has the same name? And it's very confusing for people that coming in first time. Like CrossFit's CrossFit. It doesn't matter experience level. It's just, looks the same. Pull-up bars, bumper plates, CrossFit coaches. So then I think it's easy to price shop. So we're trying to figure out the rebranding. We're just not sure how to do it.
I don't think there's any rush for it yet. I don't think there's a big clustering rush. I mean, I've got 10 gyms within 5 miles as well. We all have a little bit different economics because of the rent situations and stuff like this. But if you really dig deep into it and you think about it a lot, defining what a school of fitness is and having that out there and having a hub of all of us together on something like that and sharing our best practices, and really the more we talk, like I love this group, because every time we talk, every time we get together, it further confirms an idea I've had or gives me a brand new idea, right? And having a very similar voice and talking about the same things reminds me of when I started CrossFit in 2004, 5, and 6. And Dan, I'm sure you can attest to this. And then Dave, I know you were there. It felt fucking awesome, man. We're all on the same team. We're all working together, and it's different now. And the local affiliates all kind of secretly kind of hate each other, and then guys aren't talking to each other around the world. And I think we have a real opportunity to make a gigantic difference. And, I'd like to stay inside the CrossFit community, no doubt. And our group, I never want to be unloading and taking on what CrossFit's real role is, which is that level 1 cert and training new people how to come on board. I'd rather, to be completely honest with you, deal with people after they've been in the community for about 3 years, because they already know what's going down and they know what the real problems are. Like we've got a lot of new people contacting us these days, and it's about 50-50 whether I continue the conversation any further than 5 minutes. And it's because, just like that, Dave, I asked them a couple of questions, which is, okay, if you took the CrossFit name off your website and off your gym, would you have your 150 members or whatever that you got in your first year? And they go, no. And I'm sure I've told this one before. And I said, well, if you were starting up in 2003 or 4 and you named it anything, would you be successful? You can name it anything. It doesn't matter if it was called CrossFit or not. And the answer would be no again. So the systems we're working on right now, you guys are learning, is what works. It's just what works out in nature and out in the world. And if CrossFit and that name has helped us all, no doubt. If it ever gets to the point where it's hurting you, and when I hear Mike tell his story and Dave tell your story, that name is not necessarily helping you, right? Not necessarily. And if that turns into something that's actually hurting you, you'll have no choice but to change your branding. I don't think we ever have to get rid of our affiliation. I like to keep that forever, but your branding has to change. And here's how simple it is. You don't need to be explaining to people what CrossFit is anymore. That whole part in your website, the what is CrossFit, do you actually even need it anymore? Right? The reason why I used CrossFit was to explain to people what is CrossFit, right? Most of the world knows what it is now. Now you've been explaining what is a school of fitness. What is North Shore Cool Gym? Like, what is that? That's what you want to be explaining. You know what I mean? Taking all this time and dedication on your website to having this great big long thing that was written in 2001 about what is CrossFit, not doing justice to what you're actually doing inside of your boxes anymore. You feel me? That's where we need to go, is telling your story about what is your thing that you're doing. Because it's going to be a way more powerful story when you explain, I'm working with a network of people from around the world. We're figuring out all the different things of what works and what doesn't. We know this doesn't work, right? And we have the data on it. And we've got people around the world that show the same data everywhere. So this thing of 3 and in, we know it doesn't work. Now, Mike, when you tell that fucking story that clear on your website, any fool with a heartbeat should be able to get that. So it's about telling the story really clear is where we need to be going. Anybody think that's not the right way to be going? McDougall?
No, I agree. We just told a client who didn't want to go through the 10 sessions to go somewhere else just the other day.
Right. And I don't think CrossFit HQ is going to have a problem with that. If they get in the boat where they do have a problem with that, because there's so many people that have already branded themselves whatever, right? And I don't know what our branding is going to be, and I don't know if MadLab or School of Fitness is going to be anybody's branding. I don't know that yet. I don't know if that's what we want to be branding ourselves. But if you each have your own individual branding that you can stand your 2 feet on top of and be very proud of and tell that story, you can always say, hey, I'm part of this group, and this is what we're finding out in this group. I don't think we need all the same branding. So I remember when the first Groupons hit Vancouver, everybody thought it was my place. We've had we probably had 10 calls a day for a good solid 2 weeks of everybody coming in for their $19 session. and we would listen to them all. At first, we would just listen to them all and tell them no, and trying to explain this time. It was taking up so much time on my coaches and people that we finally came up with a standard answer on our voicemail and on our emails. We scripted one standard one and it just said, we are not the discount CrossFit. I suggest you do some research. We've been around here for, I think it was 7 years at the time or 8 years at the time. This is the way we do things. Go see what they're doing. Come take a look at our facility, read our website, and you'll see that there's a difference. This is what we are. And we probably got the people that went through that. I know there was 400, the guy sold 478 of these things in one weekend. And everybody it basically just completely fucking bashed. It completely took what I built in Vancouver. And these guys used it to fucking churn out. I talked to the guy after. Out of 478, I think he saved like 18 that lasted more than 3 months. And out of those 18, we picked up about 8 after about 6 months. So it's a great, big, massive weeding ground where we got 8 people, all right? So that further tells me that we need to be branding ourselves. Anyway, there's no big rush for it. It's just something to put in your brains. All right, I got about 5 minutes left. I'm going to just talk about our progress because we've had some massive progress in our tools. I wish I had a demo for you today. I've got three different demos I could show. I'm not proud of them enough yet. Our pocket coach we're gonna have a working model in 2 weeks, and then we're gonna be testing it all the way through. We hope to have it released for Denver. It's pretty fucking slick. I can show you what I will show you is what the outlook of what it's going to look like. I think it'd be really cool for everybody to just kind of start getting their heads wrapped around it. I got to go into something here real quick. See if you guys can see this. If you can't see it that clear, just make your thing bigger. I think Patty's due for a new computer, boys. Can you see me? Can you see that thing? I could get in and start digging around with this, but basically this is what's going to come up. As soon as you log in, you can log in through Facebook or you can just do a straight up login. You're going to have a message, which is going to come from your coach or your facility or whatever. There's different types of messages. It can come from an apprentice, a coach, or the main facility. So if I'm a client here, I'm logging in, bang. This is set up for your average client who's in group classes at the start. So it makes it real easy. I put in today's skills and strength. You enter a score, you put in what the watt is, bang. You can have a workout leaderboard that comes up right there for your standard class. Now, if not, you can get into the personal training part. It's going to be around records and calendar, right? And you're going to be entering all your scores. Like this is a whole, it doesn't click in any further than this, but you click on the calendar, it's going to come up with the month. You can scroll back and forth. You can pick the date. You can go in, your new people better enter all their old scores from the past, quickly, bang, 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 bang. Or you can go in the record section, which is going to be like the front of your WOD books. And then you got your whole profile, and then there's a fitness rating. And the beauty of this fitness rating is people do a first day, right? So picture you're doing your first day, you come up with 4 scores, you got a ball run, you got a pull-up, push-up, dip, Tabata squat, right? You enter those in, it's going to give you a bell curve. It's going to give you a fitness rating. And as we all enter these scores into this thing, picture you get someone there and they come in and they go, okay, your fitness rating is 32. That puts you in the 32nd percentile of all the people, the 10,000 people that have done that this year. You can imagine the power of that sell to those people, right? Picture that. And then after day 3, you're going to add 2 more scores. A 1 mile run, 3 more scores, a 1 mile run, your deadlift score, which is going to be a 3 rep, whatever, and your push press. And it's not about pushing people to the edge, it's somewhere where it's comfortable. You're going to see another one. And you go like, based on this, we see you're probably going to have to go 8 more personal training sessions, 11, 13. Then you get up to where you're about 12 sessions and you start entering more skill elements. And you can see where people are going to be. So it's a gigantic sales tool to help you with personal training. And then people get addicted to it, right? Anybody that's done personal training with you, they're going to be keeping this all the time. They're going to be entering scores, the leaderboard, all this stuff. They leave your facility, bang. As soon as you turn off their account with Zen Planner, they're done, right? Just think of the retention, the add-on for them not to be able to leave that, right? And that's how we're going to do it. We're going to make sure it's done through your gym, and no one can buy this on their own. It's all a retention tool and a sales tool for personal trainers. So that's our MadLab. Second thing is I'm going to show you just the online school. I'm going to show you just how we divided out the modules so everybody's kind of clear. I got it's a separate Dropbox you don't have access to, but we're separating this thing out into, okay, we're going to start off with Moosecock and why it doesn't work and to get people towards their seals. Explain what we're really doing based on the data that we've got. This is the best way we know to run a facility. And then you start off, there's the first day, there's a sales thing around it, and there's our apprentice program. There's a whole website, the door, the best practices we have from what you want to put on your website to getting someone in the door. There's a whole student development process that follows a student right from the moment that they click onto your website or talk to one of your guys to death, basically. And then there's everything in between. So we're getting pretty stoked about it. I think as we move forward with the whole group, you beta guys that come up and do a great job. My alpha guys have a compensation package. For you guys that come to Denver from the beta group, and I highly encourage you guys all to come to Denver. It's going to be a whole nother learning thing and teaching you how to use the tools, the Zen Planner stuff. Like I know some of you have already started referring people to me. I know Guido referred a bunch of people. Mike Manning just recently got his first guy. So any of you guys in beta, if you know some buddies around the world that got a gym that'd be interested in this stuff, we want to bring you further into our team and our development team. And it's going to come down to people that can spread the word out there, or, you know, your own success and how well you do this program will speak volumes. You can see my alpha team. I weeded them out of probably hundreds of CrossFit gyms that I've met over the years. Guys like Dave and Dan and Devin and those guys you've already met. They're actively out finding new people in their area so that you can transform what it is to have a proper fucking gym, right? Make sense, guys? Yeah, we're stoked?
Yeah.
Big thumbs up. All right. I'm going to open up. I'm going to unmute everybody, and we're going to find out who's got the shitty microphone set up. Sounds pretty quiet out there. A little bit of background noise.
Yeah, I can't get that. I can't hear.
Whoever's typing is illegal. All right. So I wanted to close it off with anybody else got anything to add? Anybody want to talk about what they could use help on, share success, whatever? Anybody got anything to throw out? Brad Hall, you haven't talked yet, dude. Why don't you tell us what's going on for you?
Can you hear me right now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I'm good. Dude, we're freaking busy as shit right now. We still got me and Troy coaching most of our stuff, but we do have 6 coaches in our apprentice program. 2 are pretty much right at the end. A couple of them are part-timers, but we had our best sale last month in July. We had our best numbers ever, and that's without the help of our coaches. So we're pretty excited about where we're going to be going here in the next couple months, and can't wait for me and Troy to start kicking back and letting our coaches do their own thing. We had 3 coaches close $700 packages over the last 2 days, so it's kind of nice being at home, getting a text going, fucking close it, coach, and they're jacked, and they just see the picture, and we did a little, a little data sheet over getting 4 new clients a month for a 2-year period, and the numbers just kind of blew our coaches away where they can be getting. I said, dude, you do more than 4 clients a week or a month? They're like, yeah, well, look at where the money could be, and the numbers were pretty cool. Everyone's excited.
Yeah, Big Al's going to get left in the dust there in Kelowna. He's got to step up here because he had that opportunity and he hasn't really followed through it. Like, Big Al's one of my best friends, guys. He's in Brad's area. Brad's taking this on full on, and he hasn't. So we'll. I hope we'll get there. We'll have to have a chat with him. So Dave Picardi, can you give me a smile though, bud? You're looking like your dog got killed over there. You all right?
No dog. Just tired today. It's my day off. I'm just hanging out and doing nothing.
Chilling. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to wrap this one up so we can close up on time. I'm proud of all you. I fucking love the results you guys are getting. Next one we're going to have will be in 3 weeks, maybe 4 at the most. Get yourselves to Denver if you can. And if you're going to Denver, make sure you send Bashy an email and reserve you a spot, right? It's $100 for returning guys. That just basically pays for a seat. And there'll be a shitload to learn, and you'll be teaching us and spreading the goodwill. So I love you guys. We're stoked about this group. We've got another team of guys coming on board that look really eager to learn, and I can't wait for them to learn from you guys. And 6 months, a year from now, the stuff we'll have in our online school to be able to teach everybody will be unbelievable, right? Signing off. McDougall, I'm going to send you an invite and talk to you here offside here for a minute. And Dan, I got to have a talk with you. So, sorry, Dave, I'll get a hold of you in a minute, okay?
Yep.
All right, guys. Chill.
Later, guys.
See ya.